Okay, Auburn High School, we are ready to get into step-by-step directions on how to complete the CCRS eLearning Day Excel form. So I'm going to share my screen with you, and we're going to go step-by-step through a lesson on how to create this document. The first thing you will want to do is log into your Moodle page and go to Dr. Freeman's page. We'll scroll down to where you see eLearning and CCRS. Here you'll find the recording from the March 6th coffee chat that explains what a flipped classroom is. Here you'll see the eLearning and CCRS PowerPoint. This is the Create Your First Flipped Lesson template that was created by the wonderful Crystal Kursk. The power walkthrough information is here, and what we want to start with is with ALEKS Insights. So we're going to open up the ALEKS Insights, and I'm just going to minimize that. We are also going to want to open up the eLearning Lesson Design Excel sheet. So we're going to wait for both of these items to open up. And this is downloading. When it stops flashing green, it's ready to open. So we can double click on that to open that up. And in the meantime, we can come back over here and check on our Alabama Insight tool. So what we want to do is to open up Alabama Insight. We will click on the ALSDE Alabama 1 as our option right now because we're still waiting for our Auburn option to be set up. We're going to type in our username and our that we were given and click on Log In. Now you can see over here to the side our Excel spreadsheet is loading. And we're waiting for that to still respond. So in the meantime, we're going to come back over again to our Alabama Insight tool. So we have literacy in all content areas, you have your English and language arts, and you have your math. So depending on what subject you teach, you will click on one of these links. I'm going today to click on English Language Arts. We can start by filtering by grade group on writing. So I'm going to click Apply. And then I can filter even more. And let's say that I want the students to, let's look at production and distribution of writing and see what comes up. And there are 3 activities found there. I can look at the different CCRS standards. And let's choose this one where students use technology, including the internet, to produce, publish, and update individual or shared writing products. We can scroll over and see what evidence of student attainment, teacher vocabulary, the knowledge students will gain, the skills, etc. etc. And if I don't have a lesson in mind, I can always click there and come over to the ALEKS resources. So here is a research project about American heroes. And now that I have my lesson, I can click on our Excel spreadsheet, and the first thing Dr. Freeman wants you to fill out is a brief description of the lesson. So I have my lesson, and here is my overview of the lesson. So all I'm going to do is copy and paste that brief description into this area. Okay. The next thing is, what's the content standards? Well, let's see. Here's the content standards. But now I won't be doing all of these content standards in that one day because you can see this lesson is greater than 120 minutes, and this is going to be my one-day flipped classroom experience. And so I need to make sure that I'm picking the standard that actually fits with the lesson that I'm using. So we're going to use this. I'm going to use technology, including the internet, to produce, publish, update individual or shared writing products in response to ongoing feedback, including new arguments or information. So that would be my content standard. Once I've found that content standard, I'll copy and paste it and move on to the next one. Since this is not a math lesson, this is not applicable. What CCRS reading and writing standards are we using in this lesson? Well, that's easy. We go right back to our CCRS and make sure I have the right one up here because I think I have opened two of them. Here it is. So now what I want to do is it wants the CCRS standard. Well, the CCRS standard is right here. I'm using standard 24. But if I try to copy and paste here, it's not going to let me do that. And let me just make sure I'm not a liar. And see, it's copying and pasting what I had done previously, what I copied previously. So with the Alabama Insight tool, in order to copy and paste, you would need to actually go to Print Preview. When you go to Print Preview, then you can scroll back down. I was using number 24, so I am simply going to, now that I'm in the Print Preview format, I can copy and then paste that information in the proper blank. So that's what the CCRS reading and writing standard is for this particular lesson. Now, the next question, what knowledge should students have related to the CCRS standards? Well, I go right back to my Alabama Insight tool. I'm going to close it out because it's a little too much information to look at in Print View. I'm going to move this so that I can see this information at the top as I scroll. And we want to know what knowledge will the students gain from this lesson. So do you see where it says knowledge? Again, I can't copy and paste from there, so I want to go to Print View. Oops, wrong. First, I want to select the columns to view. I don't want to view everything. So I'm going to take all this out except for knowledge and skills, because I also know that one of the other questions on our Excel spreadsheet deals with skills. So I'm going to now click Apply and now Print, and now I'm only going to see knowledge and skills. I do still need to come down to CCRS Standard 24. So what knowledge will the students have with this lesson? This is the knowledge the students will have. And so now, okay, the next thing we will do is look at the next one. What skills should students have related to this? And let's see, that didn't exactly do the way that we wanted, so I'm going to undo, make sure my cursor is inside the box, and now we can do this. So the next one is what skills are needed. There's my skills, so all I need to do is copy and paste into my Excel document. Make sure your cursor is blinking inside of that space that's provided. All right, what's the main activity the students will be working on? Again, go back into my lesson plan, look at the activities the students will be doing, and what's the activity that they will actually be doing in class. We can see there's 12 different activities with this lesson. So what is it I'm wanting them to do? Once I have found what I want them to be doing in class, and this looks like a good in class after they've been working outside of class on the other portion, going to copy and paste into the blank. Please always make sure that you see your cursor blinking inside of this box, otherwise it will not copy and paste correctly. What are the various ways that students might complete this activity? And so then again, I would come in here. There are different ways that they can complete this activity. So I can put in here working in groups, using the smartboard, using the computers or laptops. Okay, now your answers may be completely different than mine. What tools or resources will students have to use in their work that will help them complete the activity? Okay, I can either answer that, or I can go back in my lesson plan and find what those tools are if the tools the students need are listed. Here's my materials and equipment that the students might need. So again, I just copy and paste that into the appropriate spot. What questions will you ask the students to get them started? Go to my lesson plan. What are the questions that I will ask my students to get them started? So let's take a look at this. There are some primary objectives here that students have that I will want them to be able to answer. So looks like these are some really good questions here that I'm going to want them to be able to answer. And so I'm going to take this, some questions to think about while learning this lesson, and I'm going to copy and paste that answer in here. Now, that is completely different font and size. So to make it more uniform, I'm going to make sure to turn my font and size back to the normal. Okay. How will you ensure that students remain engaged in this task? Again, I go back to my lesson plan and I look for the way that I plan on preparing my students and keeping them on task. Okay. And so I look for that information, or I write that information in. Okay. So there's additional learning objectives. There are things that I'm going to do during the lesson to help them stay on task. So when I find that information, I would type that information in. Okay, what specific questions will you ask for students to make sense of the ideas that you're expecting them to learn? Okay, so there were some additional questions here that I could answer. And again, I'm really throwing this together. This is not a perfect way to put together a lesson plan. I'm simply showing you how to fill out the form itself. What you put in here will need to be your actual lessons, your actual lesson plans, and what you plan on doing with your students that day. I'm simply showing you how to put information in these blanks and where to find the information. How will you assess each student to know if they learned the knowledge and the skills in the lesson? Again, you know your assessment for your lesson. And so with this, there is a rubric that students will be using, and I can add a link to this rubric if I want to into this space right here. Of course, if this is you doing this to turn in to Dr. Freeman, as we're going to do on his Moodle page, I would definitely include a link to this rubric there. All right, and then are there any additional comments you have about this lesson? If there's additional things that you want to say about this lesson, you would type those in there. Now, all the blanks are filled out. We have our complete lesson ready to go. So I'm going to save this lesson to my P drive. For time's sakes right now, I'm just going to save it to my desktop. Once I have saved this lesson, now I can go to Dr. Freeman's page. I can click on Upload my e-learning lesson plans. I will click here since I've already submitted something. Mine says Edit my submission, but you should see some button down here that says Add a submission. Click. and then you're going to upload a file. So I'm going to, and it's not going to let me do it. So what I can do, because I'm in Google Chrome, which if I had not already turned something in, you would be able to see a submit button here. And so I'm simply going to take my e-learning lesson and I'm going to drop and drag it in. All right, and so it looks like I'm going to need to delete the old one first. All right, here we go. Technical difficulties. So I deleted my old one. Now I can click on Add, choose File, go to my desktop because I saved it to my desktop. If you saved it to your P drive, then you will go to your P drive. I chose my file. This is my e-learning activity. And I'm going to upload this file. And now it's real important you click Save Changes. And now there is my activity. This now has been submitted to Dr. Freeman for grading. And that, my friends at Auburn High School, is how you fill out that Excel spreadsheet for our April E-Day or e-learning day. Hope this has been helpful. If you have questions, please let me know. This is a great model of a flipped classroom. This is where you have watched this presentation. You're doing the activity. You're actively involved in doing this activity. And then if you have questions, this is where I or another one of your colleagues can coach you through your other questions. Thank you very much, and good luck with your E-Day learning lesson.